Hey everyone, my name is Jason Haddix and I'm the field CISO at Flare. But more importantly, I am a Flare consumer and customer. And so today, I wanted to spend some time talking about kind of why I love Flare and what it did for me as a consultancy. So obviously, I'm the field CISO at Flare, but I also run my own consultancy as well. And what my services are in the offensive security realm. And so I was looking before I came here to Flare for the best cyber threat exposure management platform that exists. And what I needed for my purposes and Red Team was I needed the best data, right? And so I looked far and wide. I did data comparisons and bake off between vendors and everything, and I ended up coming across, a pretty relatively small company called Flare Systems or Flare.io. And so um, in my work day to day in the offensive security kind of partner that Flare has is I needed a way to, in my red team assessments, where I was acting like an adversary, I needed a way to make sure that I was doing the same things that adversaries were doing. And most of the time in these days and the way that adversaries work these days, the first place they're going to go in order to hack into your organization and which are usually your breach-worthy events or your breach-worthy incidents, is they're going to go to the dark web to see if any credentials are already for sale for your domain from your employees or and however this happened is kind of a moot point anyway, because when you're in this, doesn't really matter why it happens. Sometimes it's just that it's out there on these marketplaces. And so these marketplaces for me included, I wanted coverage of the dark web, which included all of the for sale forums that were public to everybody. These were things like, previously Genesis Market, but now Russian Market, XSS.com, these types of forums. I wanted to make sure that whoever I worked with to give me this data had coverage of those. And then I also wanted to make sure that, I knew from my personal research of how adversaries work that there's a thriving chat community where more fresh credentials end up for this type of adversary sale. And these things were in like Telegram and Discord and WhatsApp and chat communities there where these things get sold. And so what I didn't find a lot of was vendors who could get that deep into the cybercrime ecosystem and find those types of credentials. And so for me, I was really looking for the credentials. And when you get to that deep, they sell as packages. They sell as packages of not only the credentials, but also the cookies for the, usually infected user and things like that. And so for my red teaming consultancy, when I looked at all these vendors, Flare was really the only one who had that, right? And so I think that this was before Flare put together a lot of their partner kind of program, but then really solidified it after I started talking with them about how I would consume it, and they started talking to other people about how they would consume it, right? And so because I'm in offensive security, I used Flare for finding the credentials to use in my offensive security, my red team assessments. But once I got into the platform, you can really see that as like a CTEM vendor, because they have the best data and because they're in the hardest to reach places in the dark web and the dark web ecosystem, that you get just tremendous amounts of CTI data, threat intelligence data. And so you also get tremendous amounts of intelligence around your attack surface from the integrations that they have for attack surface. And so really, I began to, devise different ways to, you know, basically do purple team assessments. And so I started using these other parts of the data. And so now Flare powers both my red teaming and my purple teaming assessments through different functionalities they have in the partner program. Another way, that a lot of you will want to consume Flare is, for your defensive security teams. The One of the only vendors that does this type of thing and also offers takedowns for this, which is a tremendous time sink for, I've been a CISO at big organizations. A tremendous time sink for you is the takedown process for when you find data on these, on these places that gets leaked, like credentials. And Flare has a tremendous capability in the partner program as well to allow you takedowns and alerts, for these types of things. So the enterprise level of the platform was something that until got here, I got access, was something that I really didn't know about. And then now looking at it from a CISO point of view, absolutely is a fantastic value add. So that's how I used Flare as part of, kind of my workload. I still do offensive security assessments today. I mean, just as a ballpark, right? I get in more often than not through these leak credentials to big organizations, maybe like yours, right? When I'm doing a red team assessment, I am finding domain credentials. And the problem, with this is, maybe you have really good SSO enabled or, really good authentication enabled in order, to make sure that bad guys don't log in. But a lot of the times when I get these credentials, especially from the Stealer log data at Flare, I get the cookies as well. And so what happens is I get the cookies for a corporate login and I can just use those and pretend to be, someone, and less of SSO vendors defend against cookie hijacking or cookie sale, which is what I can get from the Flare data set. So I also use it to profile now the attack surface of kind of an organization. I want to know every website or in every domain that you're running technology on that's approachable from the internet, because all it takes for me is one chink in the armor of an enterprise level customer in order to succeed at a red team engagement basically. So I would highly recommend checking out, Flare's partner program. It allows, MSSPs, pen test companies to use these different functions that Flare has available at a really good price point, I think. And so I highly suggest looking at, the partner program and seeing, what tier you could work with, and then you can integrate it into your services. So I'm integrating it into my red team assessments. I know people who are integrating into purple team assessments. I know people who are using it as CTI enrichment for their SOC, and these are all really really great ways that you can integrate kind of the partner program. So if you have any questions and you have anything that you want to ask, reach out to your Flare representative about the partner program and the different tiers of it. And if you have any questions with me, you can reach out to me too. I'm online at Haddix, and I use Flare extensively, so I can probably answer most questions. And thanks so much.